So let's look at the relationship between cellular respiration and photosynthesis, what their differences are, and why they're really connected. So cellular respiration is going to be a catabolic process, meaning this is going to be a process that takes larger, complex molecules and breaks it down into small, simple ones that are then used to create ATP, which is what cells used for energy. So the first step in that process is going to be glycolysis. So this is where glucose is first broken down by enzymes. And then the second part of that cycle is going to be the Krebs cycle, which is also known as the citric acid cycle. This is where oxygen is introduced and ADP, adenosine diphosphate, is turned into ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So that's moved on down the line to the electron transport chain, where electrons then take the ATP and transport it across the cell to anywhere that's needed. And carbon dioxide and water are produced from that process. So in photosynthesis, it's kind of the opposite. So it's an anabolic process. So it takes these smaller, simple molecules such as carbon dioxide and water, and it builds those into larger, more complex molecules. So in photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water use solar energy to create sugar and oxygen. So that's the anabolic process. And then if you compare the two formulas, you have your reactants and then you have your products. So under cellular respiration, you have glucose and oxygen being your reactants. And then using the process of cellular respiration, you have your products being carbon dioxide and water. Whereas in photosynthesis, you're taking carbon dioxide and water, your reactants, and using solar energy to produce the products of glucose and oxygen. So cellular respiration being a catabolic process, taking these larger complex molecules such as glucose and oxygen to transform them into energy, which then carbon dioxide and water are the products of. Whereas in photosynthesis, you're taking these smaller complex molecules such as carbon dioxide and water, and you're using solar energy to then take that and produce these larger complex molecules of glucose and oxygen. So these are really reliant on each other. Without the reactants of one, you wouldn't have the products of another. So they essentially rely on each other. And plants are really interesting in the sense that when they are seedlings, they start off using cellular respiration, and then through maturity, when they gain leaves, they're able to then also use photosynthesis. So it's a very interesting fact.